Stories in today's video. 1. Update. Me, 36M, married to my wife, 36F, 11 years, and I can't stop thinking about a girl I dated for 1 month 16 years ago. 2. Update. My 28F colleague, 30F, didn't invite me to her wedding, and it's completely unraveled our friendship. 3. Update. My 26F, with my husband, 29M, 1 year, he has been diagnosed with terminal cancer. How to make it count? Original post. So I mentioned to my wife vaguely that I was having a bit of a midlife crisis and ruminating on my past a bit too much. That I miss how I was physically at my peak in college. She said she is also having a bit of a crisis, worried about long-term health and missing the shape she was in before kids. We made a commitment to each other to get into shape and have changed our eating habits and bought a treadmill. I have been working out daily and my rumination issues have really dwindled. We also planned a nice vacation, and a few get-togethers with friends in the next few months. TLDR***. Told wife I was having a crisis without much detail. Original. So it took me a few days to decide the best way to approach this, but yesterday I had lunch with her again and had the conversation. I started by saying, "So you've sent all your invitations out now, haven't you?" She looked immediately panicked by my question and I knew right away that she didn't want me to go down this road. When she said she had sent them all, I asked if that meant she could show me her venue now. She showed me the website of it, including the photo gallery, and talked me through all about where everything was going to happen, all the flowers and decorations she was going to add, etc. It's a nice enough country hotel with some pretty gardens, but I'm not sure what all the secrecy was for. I probed a little more, asking who she's invited from work. The list didn't include me, said I was looking forward to seeing the photos so I could see how everything looked. She didn't correct me that I would see it on the day, and then I was completely sure that my lack of invitation wasn't an accident. She looked so relieved when I switched subject and asked if she's excited about her honeymoon and having a rest from all the wedding stress. So I'm definitely not invited. I thought it over carefully and I have decided not to ask why, for 3 reasons. 1. The reason is already fairly obvious. She clearly doesn't think we're anything more than colleagues and I've misread the situation. There were some other theories suggested, e.g. jealous husband-to-be, associating me with her past grief, but considering everything I know about her and our history I'm sure it's not that. I'm not sure why she didn't cool it on the wedding talk with someone she had no intention of inviting, or even just bring it up with me and explain why I'm not invited, but never mind. 2. Having an awkward relationship at work is the last thing I want. I'm worried that if I push this and turn it into an issue, that I'll look pathetic and needy, or it will just be unprofessional. I also run the risk of her badmouthing me to colleagues and mutual friends, and I will find it much easier and less messy to handle my own feelings quietly. 3. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for her, and I don't want to be the source of drama that dampens her spirits at all. I'd rather just let her enjoy her wedding, make good memories and not bring her down. And I'm fine with not going. It was never really about getting invited to a wedding, it was more having to face the fact that I'd been naive and taken for granted, and I felt silly that I'd invested way too much in this relationship. That's not all on her, because she was never obligated to be my friend. Talking it through on my previous post actually really helped me work through my feelings. When I went back to work on Monday I felt much calmer and more detached from it emotionally. I have looked back on our whole relationship and honestly she's always been self-involved, entitled and narcissistic. Being a bride has just made it more obvious, but it's always been there. She's also never given back to me, besides helping me get my job, which of course I'm grateful for, in that she's never been willing to talk me through any problems I've had, and although I help her happily with her work, she says no if I ask her for help in return. She has a few office enemies and even though I saw her negative traits that caused her to be disliked by some people, I overlooked them and defended her anyway. Now I have put a little distance there. It's quite apparent that she's not a very nice person, and I'm genuinely okay with just moving on. She hasn't really noticed the distance between us so far, or she has noticed and doesn't care, is relieved that I'm giving her space, so I intend to just continue with doing that. If she eventually asks why, or I get the sense that she's trying to rekindle our friendship, then it will be time to clear the air with how I've been feeling. If she doesn't and we just continue drifting, then that's probably for the best. It's sad to lose a friend, and it will probably take me some time to get over it and to become comfortable with the change in our relationship, but I have other genuine friendships, and plenty of colleagues who are lovely people who I can get to know better now. The main thing I really took from my original post, and I'm so glad I did post because I needed some tough love on this, is that my fear of confrontation really needs dealing with. If I can learn how to better speak my mind as things are happening, that will stop things from building and building until I have to have a serious conversation and it makes what should have been a molehill into a mountain. I also need to figure out how to have difficult conversations without having an anxiety attack, which not only weakens my message but is extremely distressing and puts me off dealing with things and being honest with people. I had a couple of books on assertiveness recommended to me, so I've bought them to start me off. I'm also looking into going to a coach, or maybe a couple of therapy sessions at least, to try and better myself. I don't want to hurt other people by doing this, so this has become top priority for me. Thank you so much everyone who pointed that out to me. I was aware of it but I didn't think it was a problem and figured I'd just be that way all my life. Now I know better. Thank you for being so honest with me. Also thank you to those who talked me through the one-sided friendship issue. I'm a good listener and have always attracted people who need to vent, but I only ever noticed the one-off conversations, and didn't think I was being taken advantage of as a long-term listening ear. I have been examining my other friendships in the last few days, to see if anyone else is using me in the same way, or if I've even been doing this to others and not had the self-awareness to realize. There are a couple of changes I need to make, including a friendship that I need to set some boundaries in, and another one where I've not been giving back to the other person as much I should have. I have learned a really valuable lesson from this about maintaining healthy relationships, and I'm very grateful for that. TLDR, so I'm definitely not invited. Our friendship is likely over, but that's actually okay, and I'm going to work on my assertiveness so I can handle things like this better next time. I'm also going to move forward having learned a good lesson about friendships being two-way. Original summary of original post. My husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer. After failure of chemo and other treatments, he was told he has about a month to live. I asked for advice on how to make this time count and all of you wonderful people gave some very good advice. Let me begin by saying that as much as I was daydreaming that I'll get to update everyone of a miraculous recovery my brave darling made, I had to wake up to the bitter reality. My husband *SSED away a few days ago. And just as a lot of you had warned me, with all the preparation in the world and a warning that not many are fortunate to receive, absolutely nothing about when it actually happened felt like I was at all ready. It may as easily have been sudden. He fought bravely to the end and I'm proud of his attitude. I'm happy he doesn't have to suffer and put on a brave face for me anymore. I'm here to thank all of you. Despite what I said above about not feeling prepared, I do feel blessed for having got that time. We may not have completely finished the list, but we sure got to do some of the things that the busy preoccupations of life in all its cruelty snatches from a lot of people. We may not be completely without regrets, but we managed to make our list of I wish I had's a lot shorter than it would have been before the warning. So here I am to thank everyone who commented, replied, PMed on that post. It meant a lot to both of us. A sincere thanks to all of you. A special shout to a few people, you, Misty Ranch for courage and sharing, you, McD88 for making me feel like a 100 years old, covered that milestone too as he insisted I will live his share too. You, Taco Fugitive for looking out for me, you, Aowen responsible for some high-quality homemade porn, you, Dahlia who irritated the hell out of my husband as I wanted answers to all the questions, you, Emmeline thanks to whom I thought about this part, the coping, you, what's left is Rig for instilling some pragmatism in me, you, Ian Oftawa thanks to whom unfinished business won't be an issue, you, Brandielf who made Examos come early this year, you, Tenebrous one who inspired a letter that I haven't been able to read past 2 lines of, you, EMLGSH whose words rung in my ears to keep me stronger on the bad days, you, Throw your toothbrush without whose advice I would have tried to do it all on my own and made a mess for sure, you, Tommy Own Rhythm who sure knows how to turn a good spin on the dark moments, you, Divey Jones for the immense support, you, Weltall Prime for inspiring my very first novel and so many others for all the wonderful advice, support and most importantly for sharing your stories. I can't thank you enough. I'm sorry I can't mention all of you here. Please know how much every word meant to me. Here's an update of all the things we did end up doing, and I hope this will help someone else like us out there. 1. As suggested by a lot of you, pictures and videos. I have loads of data of him doing his daily chores to just snoring away next to me. And I still don't think it's enough. Do this, you may not have a warning, you may regret it if you don't. A little background of me here. I've always been anti-pictures. I would proudly say make memories, not photo albums, and that if something is important enough, you'll remember it. While I still stand by that to a certain extent, I do condone finding that balance. I would charge my tab, turn on the camera and put it in our room, so I could enjoy him and then re-enjoy our moments later. And we made the heavily suggested naughty videos as well. Fair warning, getting closure is important, so don't get drowned in these memories either. It's too soon for me, but I do understand the risks and will look out for myself. 2. Which brings me to my next point. Discussing the future. As much as one would want to avoid thinking about a life beyond the one they love the most, not thinking of it will make it that much harder when it inevitably comes. Here's where all the advice on being practical was executed. Practicality on financial and emotional fronts. Financial being having all the financial information including account numbers, P*S swords, life insurance policy details, wills and any debts, and the latter being arranging for a therapist and talking about expectations from a partner after one is gone and discussing the kids' futures, if any. He mented all the financial information and verified it twice, taught me how to access his bank's site and wrote down a step-by-step guide on how to get the insurance money once he was gone. He wrote a letter addressed to my next spouse, with all the not so easy to discover things about me that were wonderful and necessary, in his words. 3. I wrote a book about him. I'm an aspiring author and I'm proud to say that the love of my life is the sole reader of my only book. 4. Scrapbook. This was so fun. I collected screenshots of the best and meanest things we've ever said to each other, printed those, interspersed those with our pictures over the years in chronological order, starting with the cliched obligatory baby pictures, threw in a few lists I wrote out of top 9 dates, top 9 best S**X, top 9 reasons I love him, both our birthdays fall on 9th, etc., mixed in a crossword puzzle he had to solve, and our scrapbook was ready. 5. I named a star after him. I know this is slightly silly, but now I can look at him whenever I want. 6. Needless to say, indefinite time off work, spent every waking moment in his arms and sleeping moment in his tightly wrapped arms. Yes, lots of cuddling and just being together. 7. Balcony picnic. This was an excellent idea. Stars, candlelight, good food and some good old-fashioned open-air S**X8. Speaking of which, lots of S**X. 9. We discussed with his doctors and freezing his sperm was not a possibility at this stage, so that couldn't pan out. 10. The last life party. I wanted to call it the party that never ends, but he played the cancer card, so I was shot down. All his friends and family came over, everyone said a few things about and to him, nobody was allowed to cry. I told them I was spending a lot on the funeral and he was stealing my thunder by being a terre-hogger. It was actually pretty nice with gag jokes from his goofy friends, something like a Halloween with a ghost attending, but he's friendly like Casper rather than being creepy, scary. 11. Told him I loved him, constantly. And anything else that came to my mind that I wanted him to know. He was quite a sport about it and returned the favor. 12. We played cards together, watched football matches and his favorite shows together. Things he loves, casually holding each other. 13. Festival week, a day designated to all the festivals. Milestone birthdays, video recording for each with a message. 14. Cooked his favorite meals for him. He was my happy helper. He'd wash the tomatoes and I'd make the lasagna. He called me the food conjurer. 15. Made him wear his favorite shirts for several days so now they'll smell like him for some time. 16. Knit him a sweater, made a portrait of his 17. Things very specific to him that he wanted to do, a small bucket list that I won't bore you with. I feel like I've lived a lifetime in the last month. The quote about living each day like your last got realized. I made a lot of memories I'll never forget. I want to say one more thing before I sign off. All those who have been patient enough to make it to this part of the post or impatient enough to skip to this part, thanks for reading. I have read a lot of things on this sub, and unfortunately a majority of the things I read are escapist, overcautious and pessimistic. While I encourage the right of one to protect themselves from potential hurt, I do find the world hiding behind that right, shying away from happiness and condemning others at the drop of a hat. Not meaning to sound preachy or claiming to know anyone's personal situation, I do wish to say this: believe in people, believe in goodness, believe in second chances. My husband and I didn't have it perfect, we had our rough patches and forgave each other for mistakes if the other truly showed repentance for them. I could have left him long back and I would have been in the same scenario I am today, leading a life without him. The difference is I would have chosen that in the former scenario, whereas now I have to accept the situation. And being here, I know I would give anything in the world for that choice right now. I'm so glad I was wise enough to look past his tiny flaws and fill my life with moments of the absolutely wonderful loving man he was. Be vulnerable, take risks, get hurt, it's part of being a human and it's okay. As long as you're not being downright stupid, harming yourself or those around you irreparably, and not being codependent, enabling someone's flaws rather than accepting them, it's okay to make mistakes, that's how we learn and grow. And on the chance that it's not a mistake, the potential upside is limitless. In the comments of my original post, a lot of you wrote that you cried and told your so you loved them or gave them a random hug, much to their surprise. I'll admit that those comments made me happier than anything else. That our story could inspire some bond somewhere to get stronger was the greatest compliment. So I request anyone reading this to do this today. Give your so that surprise hug, tell them you love them. I wouldn't wish what we went through on my worst enemy, and I'm still glad I got that time. But most of you won't. This time is that time for you. I'm sorry that for most of you, it will be sudden, painful, and prolonged. Living your life like each day is your last is impractical. But living your relationship like each day is your last is the easiest and most comforting thing in the world. Hug them, hold them, tell them you love them. Cheers to all the love in the world. Thank you all once again. *TLDR****. My husband P***SSED away. This update is to thank all of you for your wonderful advice and support. Edit 1. Thank you once again Reddit, for all the overwhelming response. Thanks for all the tears, all the hugs and all the support. Thanks for the PMs offering more support. And above all, thanks for our story helped make a difference in your life. I'm so grateful to each of you who's vowed to work on their relationships and love their partners more. I'm trying to reply to each one of you kind-hearted folks. Apologies if I have missed out on anyone. Thank you for being with me in this time. Your thoughts, prayers and support means a lot to me.